I just hit you with an awful waffle, and this is the best, or not the best, I'm on the wrong podcast. This is Strong Honor, where we talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling and Ring of Honor. And yes, I went back and got the awful waffle soundbite from the show that we from the Chuck E. T match opening round versus Sonata, where he hit the awful waffle, got a very close near fall, and the announcers freaked out. I love it. I'm going to play it 100 times. That's so good. Oh, it's amazing. So, yes, we're here to talk the New Japan Cup in a very, very timely fashion. We are recording this Wednesday night, and so this the finals just took place earlier today. So
it was a pleasant surprise, too. I finished watching SmackDown this morning. I was like, oh, when's that New Japan supposed to hit?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Good times, good times. A very newsworthy SmackDown this week. We'll talk about that over on the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. Record that later tonight, of course. But yeah, the big news, Daniel Bryan coming back to in-ring action in WWE. What does this mean for all of us fans who wanted to see him come back to New Japan Ring of Honor? Certainly still a possibility, but if WWE has cleared him to wrestle, I would imagine he's planning on re-signing there and making that big-time money. But part of me hopes that Daniel Bryan, the artist in him, wants to do things that he can only do in a New Japan and or Ring of Honor ring. But I don't really see that happening, but there's still a part of me that wants that.
Mm-hmm. No, like, I don't know, he's going to wrap up his stuff in WWE. It's just one of those things. It's better for a guy like that to end on his note, on a high note, the way he wants to do it, not just kind of the sour way he went. Maybe, like down the road he can do that Rey Mysterio, the Rey Mysterio Liger match. It's maybe going to happen this week. Still, I don't know. Question mark.
It's still on the card. It hasn't been taken away. Nobody's said anything.
But I would almost want him in kind of that aspect with like New Japan, what Jericho's doing in a sense, which is that special appearance.
Well, certainly he's a name that could make his own schedule that way. He certainly wouldn't have to be a full-time player. But I think Daniel Bryan is the type of guy that he just wants to wrestle.
He just wants to wrestle.
He probably wants to do the fucking G1 climax,
right?
Shit like that. Those are probably goals of his. So I'm curious I wonder, and I'm kind of wondering out loud here, my thoughts just kind of going wherever. I wonder if it was just WWE deciding we should make some money with this guy while we have him, because if he's going to leave and he's going to wrestle somewhere else, he's going to make other people a lot of money too. Why don't we make some money with the guy? So
I'm having in my head that Saudi Arabia bribed WWE.
What?
Because of that 50-man Royal Rumble that's going on, there was some tension there, Ray.
I mean, that's certainly a possibility, I guess.
I don't know. I'm just glad the stars lined up for everybody there.
And good for Daniel Bryan for doing all the hard work, trying different things to get rehabilitated, seeing lots of different doctors and specialists, and he's back at it. So.
I think he should really go out there and, talk about what helped rehab him, in a sense, to help others out there.
Well, too. He definitely he's talked about like hyperbaric chambers and stuff that he's been doing and things of that nature. So it's out there. But yeah, you're right. He could definitely be talking about it.
It's big that he's able to come back. So at least in the WWE. So yeah, there's just that story for him to go out there, tell on the road a little bit too.
All right. Well, that's enough WWE talk on this podcast. We'll talk more about that on Best Pro Wrestling for sure. We got to talk this New Japan Cup. The finals, like I said, just happened, so we'll get to talking about the finals, but we had some really great matches on the way to the finals, and some little stories developing along the way as well that will develop into matches certainly upcoming at Sakura Genesis on Easter Sunday on the 1st of April. But we got Strong Style Evolved coming this weekend as well, coming up Friday night. So if you're listening to this Thursday, Strong Style Evolved Friday night live on Access TV. Nice. I believe it's also going to be, it should be on NJPWWorld.com. But so yeah, check those out for sure. sure.
Sling 7-day free trial.
Sling 7-day free trial, and there's never been a better time to sign up for New Japan World. Like if you're listening to this show because you want to kind of keep up and you want to see what's going on, some really great matches from this New Japan Cup. The story of Zack Sabre Jr. throughout the Cup, because that's really the story that they're telling. Is this? It's been the New Japan strapping the rocket to Zack Sabre Jr. and just giving him
running through people,
giving him this huge push. His run in the Cup has been amazing and really incredible matches. I
feel bad for none of us going with them now.
I picked him.
Oh, did you?
Joe picked him. Yeah,
okay.
I had to.
It's not my fault. I'm awesome. Yeah, there's nothing I can do about that.
I picked the Ibushi, but yeah, Joe had the good pick on this one. So going back to where we left off last week, right after we were just getting into the second round of the tournament when we talked about the tournament last week. This was before the absolutely wonderful Kota Ibushi versus Zack Sabre Jr. match. Of course, we just got done talking about the push of Zack Sabre Jr. Zack Sabre winning this one with the referee stoppage. This was a very, very good match. I only gave it like 4 1/4. I gave it like 4 1/4, but there were guys out there, like I know like Sean Radican from the Pro Wrestling Torch gave this a 5-star rating. So big high praise for this Kota Ibushi versus Zack Sabre match. And again, there's history here too between these two, going back to these two should have been the finalists at the Cruiserweight Classic, and then they met in the G1 last year. Yep. So anytime these two kind of meet up, there's that little bit of history there that's always fun to delve into. Zack Sabre just dominates early with the grappling. That's kind of been the theme in all of his matches, just him dominating with the grappling. And he loses some striking battles to Kota Ibushi. There was a really, really unique seated striking battle between these two where they're both sitting cross-legged on the mat, just fucking kicking and punching and slapping each other.
It was awesome because it was just such a way for Zack Sabre Jr. to lure them into his trap like a fucking spider. Like, brilliant.
And that's been his game, is just luring guys into sticking their arm or leg out so he can grab it and twist it and manipulate it, and that's just been the whole damn thing.
It's almost, it's in a sense, it's like, it's definitely watching like an MMA bout in a way. There's a lot of times where those guys are laying on the ground, hands behind their heads, like, just tranquilo in the octagon, just come in, please come in. So it's refreshing to see someone like Zack Sabre Jr. just so flawlessly doing this kind of stuff, putting that borderline of realism and, the wrestling world. So it's a very nice touch.
Well, and just like with any pro wrestling, too, there's a suspension of disbelief. But I think you're right, though. Zack Sabre does a really good job blurring those lines of professional wrestling and real wrestling.
Well, it's like you do, some of these submissions, and, like the running gag is, do a submission on an announcer table makes it hard, hurt even more. It's funny stuff like that. Some of these submission moves, it's all... They're visually doing nothing to choke out or do any harm to some of these people, so it kind of takes it away sometimes. But when he's able to twist and turn and grab and move, and then you see someone going toe-to-toe with him, off their legs trying to smack them, and it's just part of his, bait, like luring them and stuff. It's so awesome to see that. It's refreshing.
The other really interesting thing about these matches with Zack Sabre is, it's a lot of this early grappling or whatever, and typically you could maybe see yourself or see an American crowd maybe getting bored with something like this, but I'm watching these matches, and all of a sudden we're 10 minutes, 15 minutes, they announce the times over the loudspeaker as you're going through the match. I'm like, Jesus, we're 20 minutes into this thing already, and I'm like into it, So it's to me, it's not. Maybe to other people it would be, because it's a very different style.
It's harder in the American crowd because going to the UFC thing, they want to go see the Brock Lesnar knockout kind of fight. It's not the that ground submission, rolling around, twist and turns. That's where someone like Zack Sabre Jr. is able to make it really interesting when he's doing weird fucking twists to grab a leg so he can move and then grab a other arm to make it a whole new submission. It's awesome.
Well, and the story of the tournament is everybody playing into Zack Saber's game. Even like Kota Ibushi. When he tried to get fancy or whatever, it would backfire. Same thing in the Sonata match. We'll get to that in a minute. But I really liked the finishing sequence of this Kota Ibushi Zack Sabre match. They're both like holding each other's wrists, so double wrist control, and they're going back and forth as Zack Saber's avoiding the fucking Kamigoye knee strike from Kota Ibushi, and then he finally gets him in this fucking crazy ass submission hold, and the referee just has to stop the match because Kota Ibushi won't give up. So really great stuff there. Let's see other stuff from that same night. Yano, excuse me, lost to Sonata.
Damn.
Which again, this was not a very good match. Nothing really to talk about here. The only reason I bring it up is because they tease early in the match some really close count outs, and we had 2 count out wins earlier in the tournament. So I kind of like that they use those early count outs in the tournament, the one with Yano and then Tanahashi getting the count out in the Bad Luck Fale match. So I like them kind of bringing that up. Oh, it could happen again.
Playing with your mind.
Exactly. So they did a good job with that in this match with Sonata. Let's see. From the 16th, some other stuff kind of going on in this tournament. The Killer Elite Squad, Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Lance Archer, the
fucking maniacs,
the water spitter. These two are on a quest to get the IWGP Heavyweight titles back. Currently, Evil and Sonata have them, but Evil is out with that orbital bone injury, the broken orbital. So Killer Elite Squad are getting big wins and making their case for
spitting water in kids' faces.
Yes, and fucking getting into kid like this bawling, crying kid, and fucking Archer just getting in this child's face, and the dad sitting there holding the kid, just laughing his ass off.
Right,
but this poor child is like having a traumatic moment. He's going to hate professional wrestling for the rest of his life because of this,
or love it even more.
Either way, we're going to talk to the kid in like 10 years. We'll have to see. Toa Henare and Tomohiro Ishii continue to face off throughout the tournament in these undercard tag matches. Fucking Toa Henare, man, I'm liking what he's doing. He's bringing a lot of fire, a lot of hard hitting for a young lion. Not winning a lot, but he's really shining in these tag matches. So I'm enjoying what I'm seeing from them. And then the other story of the tournament is Suzuki and who he's wanting to face next. It's fucking he's been facing off with Naito, and Naito's been he'll ignore Suzuki like pre-match when Suzuki likes to get in a guy's face. Naito just looks off the other direction like nobody's there, nothing's going on. And then of course Naito's gimmick early on in any match is when you go in for the lockup, he just turns the other way, and so this is Naito's tactic to frustrate his opponents early in matches. And early on in the tournament, this is working. But then later in the tournament, Suzuki's just not having it. He's not biting. He's not buying it. He just tags out and says, "Fuck this! You go wrestle this asshole." and then when Naito's not looking, Suzuki runs across the ring, kicks him in the face, takes him out in the crowd, and fucks him up
shenanigans.
Fucks him up on the ramp, takes chairs to him, all that other shit. So yeah, Suzuki and Naito have been facing off the entire tournament. So we will get
I really hope Naito talks trash on the belt too. Like, I want fucking get that away from me.
Well, and that's the interesting part of this is that Suzuki is the Intercontinental Champion, and that's the belt that Naito disrespected before, that he didn't want anything to do with. But now, for some reason, maybe with Suzuki provoking him or whatever, certainly he would want to get some revenge, and maybe he wants to see that championship around his waist again, maybe just to destroy the title again, or maybe to, who knows what the story would be, but because Naito hasn't really addressed the Suzuki thing, and I haven't seen they hadn't posted the post-match promos from the final night of the tournament as of this recording. But the latest one, Naito is just like, I'm really just focused on this New Japan Cup. Oh, I'm so upset that I lost in the first round, and I'm really focused on that right now. And he doesn't talk about Suzuki at all. And Suzuki, in the meantime, is like, yeah, Naito, you didn't want this championship before, but now you want it. Yeah, bastard, come on.
That's great.
He's just an asshole. He's the best.
Yes, good stuff. And then, and at one point in this tournament too, when one of these undercard tag matches, Suzuki faced off with Okada in one of these tag matches too. But nothing really significant came out of that. But because I think it's more about building up Okada and Naito. But I did think that was interesting that the two champions, IWGP Intercontinental and heavyweight kind of getting in each other's face a little bit there. So a fun moment there. And then the other story going on in the tournament besides the tournament is Roppongi 3K getting in the face of both Bushi and Hiromu, who want to challenge Yoshinobu Kanemaru and El Desperado for the junior titles. But with Roppongi 3K having just lost them, we're just building up a three-way again between these three teams, even though it's so funny because Suzuki Gun, the current champions, are known for cheating. Hell, they cheated to win the titles. There was a lot of shenanigans with the mist from Bushi, who's in Los Ingobernables, and the whiskey from Yoshinobu Kanemaru in the Suzuki Gun. But after every one of these Roppongi attacks or after any tag loss, El Desperado or Yoshinobu Kanemaru are in the back complaining about how all you guys are being disrespectful and all you do is cheat and break the rules. When will you guys follow the rules and have a one-on-one straight-up matchup? Fuck you guys.
So make a good point.
I love the dichotomy of the Suzuki Gun guys complaining about others cheating and that they're being dishonorable. So that's a lot of fun in all of that, too. All right, back to the tournament matches. Tanahashi took on Juice Robinson. I thought this was a really good match. I gave it 4 stars. Other people went higher or lower depending on their opinion. Again, for me, putting stars on a match is just a really quick way for me to convey how I felt about a match.
Right.
So, it just, it's
really watch it, maybe watch it, don't watch it, skip it.
Right. And exactly. Like I don't put I like to put a star rating on a match right after I'm done watching it, so I can just feel the emotion of the match and just how I felt watching the match. I try not to think about it too much. It's like, well, that felt like this. So that's about all the thought I put into it. So if you put a lot of thought into it, I'm sorry, that's not me. It's just a quick way for me to convey how I felt about a match that maybe a lot of people haven't seen, because let's face it, there's way too much wrestling out there, and this podcast is about talking about maybe some wrestling you haven't seen, and maybe you should go...
Got some questions?
Yeah, and maybe you want to go back and watch Tanahashi versus Juice Robinson, because it was a pretty awesome 4-star match.
Well, that's why it is called the Tommy New Japan 5-star scale.
No, we changed that. That was... I tried to... because I was afraid to tackle the 5-star system. Like, I'm not a journalist. It's not my place to put stars on matches. And so when I first started talking on this podcast about New Japan and whatnot, it was during the G1. I was like, well, I need a way to rate or convey these matches in a way that says, well, this is a really good match, you should watch it, and this is skippable, don't watch it. And I decided to just go, well, 1 through 5.
Maybe we should start rating it like it was like House Party or House Party 2.
Or Cars 2 if you're Joe.
No. We're going Rocky on this. That way we still get the 5.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, well, anyway, I decided to just go with the regular 5-star thing because the thing I was doing was pretty much the same thing anyway. And again, I'm not thinking about it too much. It's just, again, a quick way to convey this was a good match.
Quickie.
You're not going to get me to stop calling it that.
I know that, but I every once in a while I like to update the new listeners so that they know what the fuck we're talking about, because it's nice to have a little context in there. Anyway, Tanahashi versus Juice, really good match. The story here is
like Rambo 2. Looking at my own skills.
Good luck with that, buddy. I tried that bullshit. But the story here is, even though Juice and Tanahashi are kind of friends outside of the ring, but going into this match, Tanahashi wasn't giving Juice that respect he wanted. He was kind of being a bit of a dick to him. In the tag match prior, he wouldn't shake Juice's hand before the match here, and so Tanahashi...
Wasn't Juice showing him respect in the ring in some places, like giving a nice clean breakup? And
absolutely.
Then when it turned to Tanahashi's turn, and just smacking him in the face, like, what the fuck you doing, bro?
Exactly. And Juice he's like the super honorable baby face. Like he says before the match, I'm not gonna take the cheap route. I'm not gonna go after Tanahashi's arm or his leg. Remember, he did the same thing in the match with Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega was just coming back from knee surgery, minor knee surgery, and then he had that match for the U.S. title because Juice beat him in the G1. So they had their U.S. title match, and he was like, no, I'm not going to go after the knee. But then in a moment of weakness in the match, he went after the knee anyway, and he took ownership of it or whatever. But Kenny Omega still beat him because he has the better fighting spirit, and that's what New Japan Pro Wrestling is all about. So, but
King of sports.
but that again, that plays into Juice's character and what he did in this match. So he refuses to go over the arm and the leg. At 25 minutes into this match, Juice counters a high fly flow. He does a roll through for a really cool near fall, and then I legit popped for Juice hitting the top rope high cross, which is again a high fly flow, and then he goes for an actual high fly flow, big splash off the top rope. So Juice hitting Tanahashi's finishers for near falls was really cool in the match.
Suck at your back.
And then after Tanahashi does finally defeat Juice with two of his own high fly flows, he does show Juice the respect that he had earned in the long and grueling match with Tanahashi. So again, a really great performances from Tanahashi in the tournament and Zack Sabre, and that's who ended up meeting in the finals. But we'll get there momentarily. From the show on the 18th, again, KES dominate and beat Hiroshi Goto and Yoshihashi. So
weird.
Goto, the current never openweight champion, and again, my favorite tag team, Yoshihashi and Hiroshi Goto. I think I tweeted about that. Gee, who's my favorite tag team on this picture? And there's Goto and Yoshihashi back to back. I'm like, so. Again, the push of the Killer Elite Squad taking place here. Naito continues to taunt Suzuki in a 6-man, and then David Finlay pins Chucky T in a tag match with Okada and Tanahashi. Chucky T teaming up with his fellow Chaos mate Okada. And,
that was some fuckery right there.
And David Finlay teaming up with Tanahashi. Again, a notable matchup because not too often do we get to see Okada and Tanahashi squaring off, even in a tag match, and that's an epic feud that has been, they had their big matches in the past, and I completely just fell off the train there with my train of thought. What the
David Finlay.
Yeah, David Finlay. After this match, he's talking about, yeah, man, I wasn't even in the fucking New Japan Cup, but here's Chucky T, who just waltzes in and takes Beretta's place, and then I beat him. So what does that say? Maybe I should be in the New Japan Cup next time, New Japan. So a nice little attitude there from David Finlay.
He was good on commentary too.
I didn't mind David Finlay. I thought Juice was a really good guest commentator on this final night. Bad Luck Fale was kind of fun.
It was fun. They just needed to crank his mic up a little bit more. That was rough.
He was a little soft spoken, but I really liked Chucky T on commentary.
Yeah, he was the realist to me on there, which is like, I don't want to do this, but it's fun. Let's see where we go.
And then the other thing I wanted to note from this Okada and Chucky T teaming together, there was some goofiness going on early in the match. Like Chucky T got tagged in, and in New Japan there tends to be whenever you're on offense, you're fired up, you're yelling, you're screaming. But for some reason, Okada and Chucky T were extra goofy loud when they
were talking about that on commentary. He's rubbing off way too much.
Yeah, it was just really fun to kind of see Okada just be a complete goofball and yelling and screaming and just acting a fool. And that actually came into play on the final night of the tournament as well. He's in there. Oh, who is he teaming with?
Ha Clinton Dix.
Yeah, he was teaming with Ha Clinton Dix. Well, and I noted it. We'll get to it later here. But I wanted to talk about Zack Sabre Jr. versus Sonata. Very good match. I only gave this one 3 3/4. I could see people going in the fours or whatever. Again, another really good match. The fucking grappling from Zack Sabre. Sanada is frustrating Zack Sabre Jr. early in the match because he's able to hang with him in the grappling and stuff like that. And then when Sanada goes for the fucking Paradise Lock, Zack Sabre wiggles out of it and he's like, fuck this guy. He really fucking goes after him. And that's what he really took. So this kind of the story of the match was Sanada was hanging with Zack Sabre, but Sanada would get a little cocky, go for the Paradise Lock.
Kind of his whole story now.
And then, later on he goes for the moonsault and Zack Sabre, grabs his fucking arm and starts twisting on it and shit. So anytime Sanada just got a little bit cocky and it would backfire on him, he attempts 2 moonsaults in the match, which is what he's been finishing guys off with. Zack Sabre counters both of them, counters the second one going into the finish. Great late exchanges of the skull end and leverage pins. Again, just a really good match. Zack Sabre winning the match with the double arm trap and Sanada with the verbal tap out because his arms are all tied up. Just a really fun match.
He made him say Mate.
Yes, exactly. Then finally, the last night of the tournament, Shota Umino beats Tetsuhiro Yagi in the opener. Not Yogi, as Don Callis was calling him. I thought that was a fun little thing going on, where Callis is calling Yagi Yogi, and Don Callis has to kind of correct him. No, that's his name. Like he calls him Yagi, and Callis is like, who are you talking about? Yagi. That's Tetsuhiro Yagi. His name. He's like, oh, I like Yogi. I get a kick out of Don Callis. Then another special singles match, Taichi versus Tomoyuki Oka, the young lion. So this was, again, fucking Taichi, man. I'm just digging what he's doing in the heavyweight division. Just like, again, talked about it last week. He's a classic fucking heel. Don Callis was in love with it too. He's talking on commentary like, what are we in Memphis here? He's just doing the classic stalling techniques, ducking out of the ropes, all this shit, fucking pissing off this young lion. All he wants to do is fight him and get in his face, and he's not having it. So just a fun match. Taichi wins with a fucking super kick at the end of it. So just fun stuff. A bunch of other undercard stuff. Tonga Loa uses ape shit to get a win over Henare in a 6-man tag. That's what his finisher's called, I guess, ape shit. Again, Killer Elite Squad continue their dominance. They beat Tomohiro Ishii and Toru Yano with the Killer Bomb, and they officially challenge Evil and Sanada right after the match. So maybe Evil coming back, hopefully in time for Sakura Genesis, but nothing official yet. Juice and David Finlay beat Goto and Yoshihashi. The story here was Juice pinning Hirooki Goto, the current never openweight champion. So that could be possibly your never openweight match for Sakura Genesis, with Juice going for Goto's belt. I'd really like to see Juice have a nice little run with that never belt. This Goto thing is really doing nothing for me. Do I think they'll do it? Probably not, but we'll see. We'll do an official preview for that one on next week's show.
All right.
Yeah. Then a big 8-man tag. Los Ingobernables, Naito, Sanada, Hiromu, and Bushi taking on Suzuki, El Desperado, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and Takashi Iizuka. Suzuki, again, he just got tired of Naito's shit. He gets out of there. We talked about this whole story that's been going on here throughout the tournament. Kota Ibushi and Chase Owens teaming up, and this has been a team that's been popping up throughout the tournament. Chase Owens teaming up with Kota Ibushi. It's been fun seeing Kota Ibushi teaming up with the Tongan faction of the Bullet Club, with Kenny Omega not being on the tour. And what's really also been kind of cool is that Ibushi and Chase Owens have started to develop some double team moves.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool seeing them do that stuff. But it was Okada and Chucky T getting the win here. Okada winning with the camel clutch over Chase Owens. But this is what I was going to talk about earlier. Okada getting fucking goofy in the match. He does this big plancha outside of the ring, and of course Kevin Kelly calls the move, but he lands right in front of the English commentary. So you hear Okada must have have overheard him calling the move, gets up and goes, plancha! And then he jumps up on the top rope and does a big fucking high cross body. And as he's doing it, he says, Scooby-Dooby-Doo!
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
He's having fun. That's great.
Okada being a goofball on the undercard. Yes, a lot of fun. Then the final match from the New Japan Cup, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. What a match. A lot of fun. Mm-hmm. I gave this one a full 4 stars. If I was going to name best match of the tournament or my favorite match from the tournament, I'd probably go back to the Zack Sabre versus Kota Ibushi matchup. But this was also very, very good. Tanahashi is always great. He can have great matches with anybody. And Zack Saber's been killing it throughout the tournament. Fucking Zack Sabre just dominating the first 15 minutes of grappling again. You're 15 minutes into this thing, and it's like, Jesus, this thing's fucking trucking along, and I'm into it. Tana counters the triangle into his cloverleaf. Remember, he defeated Naito with the cloverleaf. That's been one of his new moves that he's been using for about a year or so now. Finally hits a dragon screw and a high fly flow on the floor. Zack Sabre Jr. goes after the leg very late in the match. The whole beginning of the match was Zack Sabre going after the arm and the fucked up biceps. And it wasn't until later in the match when Tanahashi gets cute, goes to skin the cat and flip back into the ring. Yep. And then Zack Sabre grabs
right into him.
Yep, Zack Sabre's there. He grabs that leg. Then he starts going after the legs. Again, just fucking phenomenal stuff from these two. The fucking penalty kicks, the high going into the finish. Tanahashi hits the big high fly flow to Zack Sabre's back, flips him over, goes up to hit the second one. Zack Sabre counters. That goes into the finishing sequence. I love the name of Zack Sabre's finish. He's got both legs tied up. One's like in a stretch muffler. The other one's all fucking tied up in his other leg, and he's basically stretching your crotch, making you do a splits. And this thing is called orienteering with napalm death.
He loves the long names for his submission moves.
Yes.
There's one I think has like 15 words in it.
Yeah. And also I should mention too, I didn't get any sound this week from the promos, but go back, make a point. Go on YouTube and check out the New Japan New Japan Pro Wrestling English YouTube page. Well, I guess even the Japanese one, because Zack Sabre is going to be speaking in English. But his promos, like his post-match with Sonata.
Awesome.
The post-match with Sonata, he's like, what, you going to try that fucking Paradise Lock bullshit on me? And then talking shit about Tanahashi, just the attitude in his promos, and then Taka Michinoku being the hype man for Zack Sabre.
Oh, he's been great.
Been really good too. Of course, after the match, he calls out Okada, so it will be Zack Sabre versus Okada, presumably at Sakura Genesis. That's typically where the New Japan Cup final or winner will meet the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. So we're looking at a hell of a card for Sakura Genesis.
I love Gato putting his hand right into Taka Michinoku's face, like, shut up, we ain't doing this.
And then when Gato, well, yeah, because Taka is about to go into his just tap out catchphrase, and then he puts his hand up in the face, and then Gato starts cutting his promo, and then Gato starts to go into his catchphrase, because you always know when he's doing it because he really ramps. He's like, ooh. And then Taka puts his hand in his face, grabs the mic back from him. So yeah.
So it's just even little details like that. It's just like, oh man, this is gonna be exciting little feud there. And
this is gonna be just a really great matchup, just because they built up Zack Sabre through this tournament, just fucking submitting people. So that's the thing, is he submitted Hiroshi Tanahashi. Tanahashi tapped out. That's not something you see. You don't see Hiroshi Tanahashi tapping out. He fucking tapped out Naito. He got a stoppage with Kota Ibushi.
He's the ace.
So he has really run through the fucking some of the best that New Japan has to offer with Naito, Tanahashi, Sonata, and fucking Kota Ibushi. So the huge push.
The weakest name on that list is Sonata, because he's learning still, finding his groove.
But again, a pushed guy who just had a big match with Okada.
Not trying to take anything away from him. I love that his little story right now of Sonata is just him kind of not filling out his full, his best yet, and like you said, getting too cocky in some cases.
Yeah.
And And that's kind of the whole, Los Ingobernables story is them getting too cocky in some occasions or going for that paradise lock or pandering to the fans. I love it.
Yes, very much. So I'm looking forward to this just to see what Okada's, talking about pro wrestling like a sport. What's Okada's strategy going to be against Zack Sabre Jr. At Sakura Genesis on Easter? Because everybody's been playing into Zack Saber's game. Obviously, Okada, is he going to be able to hang with that style of wrestling, or will he bring the power game and try to counter Zack Saber's offense like that? It's fun when you can break it down and talk about it.
It's going to be a hell of a match, nonetheless.
Exactly. All right, so this Friday, Strong Style Evolved, and basically everything going on this show really doesn't have much to do with what's been going on in the New Japan Cup. We haven't seen a lot of these guys on this tour. Jushin Thunder Liger is supposed to take on Rey Mysterio Jr. Haven't really heard much.
Sound like they pulled it off the table, but
that was the thing, is they never officially announced that it got pulled off the table because of the Rey Mysterio injury. So they've kept quiet on that. The match is still I'm staring at it on NJPW1972.com right now.
So, because last I heard was like faint things that was kind of taken off the table quietly, that they stopped, saying anything about it. Then I kind of heard that Mysterio's injury wasn't that bad. Right.
So just the fact that they haven't said anything about taking it off the card makes me think they're going to have the match, because it's already sold out. The interest is already there. Why try
it
to
feels like the
trick
hype
people?
Of last year's event bigger than this one, though, for sure.
Oh, definitely. This already doesn't feel like it was on the same level. Certainly, I don't feel the sense of hype that there was for the first show in Long Beach last year.
Distracted by so much fucking wrestling too. It's kind of like a pleasant surprise. Like, oh fuck, that's this Friday. Like, awesome.
Right. Yeah, I feel like there's still interest there among us that are fans of it, but there's definitely not the same buzz. That I don't feel the same amount of buzz that there was last year.
There's also not a championship being introduced.
Right. Yeah, definitely with the 2 days and the tournament, it was a bigger deal. So, but we do got big matches on this show.
Yeah.
That Jushin Thunder Liger Rey Mysterio match. Jay White defends the U.S. title versus Hangman Page.
Be a good match.
Good. Hangman's been killing it lately. Jay White, had his excursion in Ring of Honor. And so these two should have some familiarity and should be having a good match. And yes, Hangman's new gimmick where he does the swinging dick,
swinging his arm through his legs.
Yeah, the hip swivel and the arm swinging to represent his giant penis. Now there's a sound clip for you.
That's so lucrative.
But no, it should be a good match. And honestly, I'd kind of like to see Hangman get this U.S. championship. Jay White's not really lighting it up, but again, he's kind of been absent from New Japan lately. Haven't seen him doing a lot. There hasn't been a lot of build-up for this match. But I think Hangman being the first actual U.S. citizen as a U.S. champ would be a nice story. I don't know.
Cool.
And again, it would kind of play into the turmoil going on in the Bullet Club, which is probably why they aren't going to do it, because there's already a nice story going on in the Bullet Club right now. But, if Hangman Page became the United States champion, where, Kenny Omega hasn't even had a rematch for it yet, and Hangman Page is kind of on, Team Cody right now.
Yeah.
So there's
because Bullet Club is fine.
Bullet Club is fine. Dude, did you see the T-shirts?
They're fine.
Yeah, they're fine. Perfectly fine.
I don't know.
Way to make it awkward.
All right. Well, speaking of the Bullet Club maybe not being fine, the main event, Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi, the Golden Lovers versus the Young Bucks. No championships on the line here,
but it's a good match.
It's Kenny. Again, this was well addressed on this week's Being the Elite. The story. Remember, after Kenny and the Golden Lovers' first match back, Kenny grabbed the mic and said, we are the best tag team in the world. The Young Bucks took offense to that, got in their faces, and that's why this match was born. This week on Being the...
And they've been bulking up a lot, too.
Yes, the new heavyweights, the Young Bucks. But on Being the Elite this week, Kenny Omega sends an apology video to the Young Bucks saying, look, I was out of line when I said that. I was just trying to send the crowd home happy. I knew I was lying. I shouldn't have said it. I'm sorry. I apologize. But the story is that Cody intercepts Slick Nick's laptop, and and it was convenient because that was Slick Nick's laptop was a note that was taped to the back of the laptop, so you knew that it was Cody intercepting the laptop. He edits the message to make it look like Kenny talks shit about the Young Bucks, and so that angers Matt Jackson, and he's ready for a fight this week in Long Beach. So it'll be really fun to see how this continues to develop and this rift in the Bullet Club and what role Cody plays, if any, which I'm sure he will. But yeah, we haven't. It's kind of weird that we're just a day or so away from this thing, and we've only got 3 matches announced. So I guess we will see.
Oh, it'll fill up.
I'm sure it will, and I'm sure Cody will be on there, and Marty Scurll, and all these other guys that we haven't been on this tour. We're probably going to see a lot from those guys here. So, all right, let's talk Ring of Honor now, and this week's Ring of Honor television. I was going to play this sound thing, and I can't find it there.
Combo breaker.
So, yeah, Ring of Honor TV this week. Decent show.
Fun show.
Cool main event, the big 10-man tag between the Bullet Club that we were just talking about with Hangman Page, Cody, Marty Scurll, and the Young Bucks versus SoCal, Uncensored, and the Kingdom. And so the story here was, can the Bullet Club get along? And that kind of play, early on the Young Bucks were kind of, do we want to get along with Cody here? Da-da-da-da-da. And of course, well, that ended up, the Bullet Club was fine, and they ended up getting the win in the match. Cody hits Crossroads after Scorpio Sky comes in with some skullduggery. He tries to help out SoCal Uncensored, ends up kicking Vinny Marseglia in the face, and that leads to Cody being able to hit the Crossroads and get the win. But again, the inconsistency between the Ring of Honor TV tapings and what happened on the pay-per-view 2 weeks ago with Barry the Bear revealing himself as Kenny Omega.
I thought they were saying this was a new one.
This week?
Yeah.
No,
that could have been wrong.
This was still from Center Stage in Atlanta.
I thought they were saying it was a different Barry, though.
They didn't.
Okay, I could have dreamt that then.
Yeah,
I think you dreamt it.
I'll go with that.
This was the same old Barry the Bear with allegedly Kenny Omega under it, although this was taped before that was revealed, so continuity issues here at Ring of Honor. But Barry wasn't really a part of the match, didn't really have any...
You got a stage dive in.
Yeah, that was true. He did have that big... He did jump off the top rope onto everybody. They did, it was your typical
I'm pretty sure they
match.
did acknowledge that it was a different Barry, because I'm pretty sure I remember him saying, I like this one better after that.
That's...
fucking go watch it. Let us know.
Well, no, there was... Because the story of the match was, I don't know... can the Young Bucks get along with Cody? And so after Barry hit that big dive off the top rope, Nick Jackson goes over to commentary and says, I think I like this Barry the Bear guy, because... Okay,
maybe I misunderstood him.
I don't think he meant this version.
He definitely said that.
He didn't mean this version of Barry. He was just like, well, I'm warming up to this idea of Cody Rhodes and this Barry the Bear obnoxiousness, because, again, that goes back to a prior episode of Being the Elite, when Cody introduces Barry the Bear. Fucking Nick Jackson's like, man, Being the Elite is Jump the Shark. Or maybe it was Bullet Club. Bullet Club Jumped the Shark or something, like great. When he introduces Barry the fucking drug-free bear. So he ends up liking the drug-free bear. Again, I think they taped that episode of Being the Elite when they did these TV tapings, which again, that episode of Being the Elite was weeks ago when they did these TV tapings. So he probably made that comment on commentary only moments after he probably backstage said that the Bullet Club jumped the shark.
Right. right?
So again, my number one complaint about Ring of Honor TV is the continuity issues between the tapings and the pay-per-view. So hopefully, finally, next week we get updated Ring of Honor TV.
For sure.
Taped from Sam's Town right after the 16th anniversary.
Sam's Town. That'd be nice.
Other stuff.
Women.
What are you talking about?
No one cares about women's wrestling, man.
We did have some women's wrestling on this show, actually.
Women?
Yes, women, and this was interesting. It was a Stardom match from Osaka, Japan. I'm gonna fuck these names up, so I apologize. Mayu Iwatani versus Hazuki. I wrote down a pronunciation key for her name. Her name is just HZK.
Yeah, and she's like 15, 16.
Hazuki.
I think they said she was 20.
So anyway,
Yeah.
the youngster.
I don't know, they just promoted someone that she just graded some grade school. I'm like, wow, she's young.
It's the what was the youngster versus the grizzled vet who
Exactly.
basically won all the championships. The grizzled vet got the win with the bridging dragon suplex.
This match shows me that they put a lot more into their matches than the American girls. I mean, not saying all of them have been bad, but like compared to this match, let's be honest, the physicality.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad that they are bringing this kind of talent in to this tournament, because this is what's going to separate Ring of Honor's women's division if they can have competition like this or just matches.
Well, I mean, like that they showed us it from, their ring, their perspective,
Right.
on their turf, because it was interesting to see the crowd in that environment. It was super cool on Ring of Honor TV. I like that they were doing that.
That, and I think she gets to face Deonna Purrazzo, so
Yes.
that'll be a really good match.
One thing that really stuck out to me on them too, and I see with like Kairi Sane too, is like they're very animated in every single bit of their movement. Like you don't see that with other wrestling, where it's just like they're just running and they're just like so anime style in a weird way.
Yeah, I think that adds to it too.
It does,
because,
yeah.
I mean, I've seen so many women's matches where if they're green or just not, not very good, they do the baby steps as they're running across the ring and not hitting the ropes hard and not hitting the corners hard and not bumping hard, and those are things that really matter when it comes to the quote-unquote suspension of disbelief, the believability of pro wrestling. And I think with these women, hitting hard, bumping hard, hitting each other hard, or at least appearing to, and some really good near falls in the match too, with some intense moves. Some
That German suplex finisher.
It doesn't hurt to have some dangerous looking shit too, but it's not absolutely necessary either. But certainly that plays into what happened here. So anyway, I'm glad that they're bringing in talent like this, and hopefully this kind of thing can rub off on the other women that are up and coming, and this kind of becomes the Ring of Honor women's style. We'll see. I mean, obviously, it's we got a ways to go in the tournament yet, and I mean, you got people like Brandy Rhodes and what's her name, the exotic goddess
Mandy Leon.
Mandy Leon in there too, and both of those women are not very good. So we'll see. But again, good match, and looking forward to the Deonna Purrazzo and Mayu Iwatani match. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. I apologize. Opening match from Ring of Honor TV this week, the Coast to Coast versus the Dogs.
With the Beer City Bruiser, Brian Malone on the
love
side.
this.
Beer City Bruiser on commentary is great because he just assumes everybody's got to be drinking beer. That's the way to be. That's life. That's what we're doing here. And so he's like, yeah, I think the Dog's got a chance here because I've gone out and had beers with them a few times. They're not in the gym pounding weights like Coast to Coast. So yeah,
I absolutely loved that. Colt Cabana brought up. He was like, "What was it, Malonis?" He's like, "Hey, if you guys win, are you going to use that belt extender?"
Yes, that was very, very funny.
It just their reaction it was fucking
even
good.
Colt reacting to a Beer City Bruiser like, "Hey, buddy, not all of us are big fat drunks who like to drink beer all day long too. Like, I don't even drink, so hey."
It definitely felt like the guys jab at each other, but like in a good spirited way. I loved it.
Coast to Coast do get the win. Beer City Bruiser and Malonis attack them after the match.
I hate to say, I like the Dogs' music.
I don't even remember what it is.
I was listening to it. I was like, I like this.
Well, they're such a weird undercard tag team.
They're growing on me a little bit. They're fun.
Well, they play a role. They're there pretty much to lose, or Little Willie's there to lose.
Right.
So it's just a fun tag team, and so it's a nice role. It keeps coast to coast rolling. Nice push for them. Well, we'll get the match between those two and Beer City Bruiser and Malonis at some point. Probably super card of honor, but who knows? And we did have we had a couple of promos from Marty Scurll and Dalton Castle, where they're going to be taking on each other at Super Card of Honor on the 7th, the weekend of WrestleMania. So a lot going on the 7th. The weekend of WrestleMania. That's the Saturday before WrestleMania. So you got NXT that day, Ring of Honor that day. Thank God that Impact and Lucha Underground are doing theirs on the Friday on Twitch. But yeah, lots of cool stuff going on WrestleMania weekend. But yeah, Super Card of Honor. They're really building this on Ring of Honor as the biggest Ring of Honor show ever. So going to have the biggest attendance for Ring of Honor. So, and they're talking about this is the biggest Ring of Honor show ever with the big headliner Cody Rhodes versus Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an awesome show. It's going to be a hell of a weekend in a couple of weeks here. So get ready for it. Get your wrestling eyes ready.
It's like all preparation just for one long WrestleMania.
Yeah. It's going to be an insane.
It's going to be a marathon.
Yeah. All right, let's get out of here with the Kojima tweets.
Now it's time for the Satoshi Kojima Tweet of the Week.
If you are bread fans like us, follow Kojima on Twitter at cozy_lariat. Hello to the world wrestling fans. How are you? I'm bad about my knees, but I'm fine. I also want to fight in front of everyone. Therefore, please do not forget me. Thank you. So follow this show at Strong Honor on Twitter, Facebook.com/Strong Honor Podcast. I was going to give out the email, but I don't remember what it is. So
that's stronghonor@gmail.com.
I think it's... I don't even remember what it is.
What the fuck? You're supposed to say, how do you not know the email, Taco?
Links in the description. That's all I'll say. StrongHonorPodcast@gmail.com, I believe, is the email. And then, what else? Follow me on Twitter at Tommy Stryker, spell Stryker with a Y. Make sure you check out our other podcast, The Best Pro Wrestling Podcast, where we talk about WWE. We're ramping up the road for WrestleMania. Is getting really hot. We got all the Daniel Bryan stuff going on. So tons to talk about there over on the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. Check that out. Taco, where can people find you?
Follow me on Twitter at HGREV Taco.
And follow me, Joe, at JoeBPWP. That's at Joe, Best Pro Wrestling Podcast.
That's Strong Honor. Bye.
Adios.
Peace.
My botch. Help me hype with a bit. Professional wrestling is a fight. Hasta jueves. Adios.
All right, well, we got to get out of here, and I got to look up a Kojima tweet. So,
oh wow, way to plan ahead on that one.
Yep.
Pause for edit. It's one from one day ago.
Yeah, that one looks good. Okay.
Butthole.
And we have an Easter egg.